Over the years, you've heard me ask wealth manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
7:02.
11:32, time for the Sharing Space. This is where we share our stories, anything that has happened in your life that you think would be interesting to some of our listeners, and it would be interesting to get their thoughts on. Maybe something that happened at work, in your family, when you're out on a date, whatever the case is, when you are making a presentation at work. You can share that with us. You can send us an email on cm@702.co.za. Today, we are hearing a story about siblings. So I'm going to play a WhatsApp voice note, and then afterwards go to your calls and WhatsApps. If you've got advice for this listener, please be kind enough to give it. Or if you just want to share your own experience, maybe you've experienced something similar, I'd like to hear your stories as well.
Hi, Clement and the listeners. I hope you guys are well. So my older sister sadly passed away last year in November. She was a very important part of our family as she took care of our parents financially. She had a very good job and was generous with money. When she passed, her will stated clearly that she wanted the money to go to our mom and her 2 children. My parents had 5 children and are now left with 4, and I'm the last born. My 2 siblings who come after my older sister made it a mission to torment my mom for my sister's money. They claim that my sister used to take care of them financially as they have been unemployed for years. As I said, my sister was a very giving person and she probably did take care of them. My other sibling and I have been independent for a while and didn't really rely on our sister. So my 2 other siblings say that they're now going to approach the courts so that they can get a stake in my sister's will. I find this to be very disgusting and entitlement on their side. They are fully able to go and look for jobs. Recently, I heard a similar story to ours where siblings wanted a stake in their siblings' will. So my question to you and your listeners is, why do people feel entitled to their siblings' money? Especially because my sister's will clearly stated that her kids and my mom were the people that she's leaving the money to.
Okay, so sister has died. So mom has had 5 children. There's a sister now who's died, who used to take care of, from what I'm picking up here, everyone in the household. Well, mom, her own children, and some of the siblings, it appears. And this sister who has died has, of course, left a will, and it clearly stipulates that the mom and her own children are the ones that benefit from that. But the deceased sister's siblings are now trying to claim a stake in the sister's estate because they argue that, well, we also relied on her for our well-being. She took care of us. Therefore, we deserve some of what she has left behind. And I'm glad that Anonymous also mentioned this recent case that we've seen of siblings who are trying to approach the courts to claim money and claim a stake in a sibling's estate. I think I remember reading that story about a week ago. So how do you deal with something like that? And has any of you been in a situation like that? I think Anonymous is asking, why do some people feel so entitled to their siblings' money, for instance? Does it make sense to you that because these siblings relied on this sister who has now died, then they deserve to claim something from her estate? I mean, she had her own children. She has a mom that she has clearly decided to leave everything she has for, but the siblings are saying we want to benefit from that as well because we were part of the responsibility of our sister. How do you address something like this as a family? Do you cut off these sisters? Are they wrong? Do you think the sisters are wrong to be wanting to claim that, because now they may even be considering going to court. And they probably know how probably rich this sister who is passed is. 011-883-0702. You can give us a call and share your thoughts with us. The WhatsApp line is 0727021702. Maybe you've been in the same situation yourself. How did you resolve this? And how would you suggest that this family resolves this conundrum?
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
20 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's go straight to your WhatsApps.
Hi, Clement. I think Anonymous must name and shame her siblings. One word that comes to mind for me is slech. It's just the siblings are slech, because the last will and testament takes precedent, and that is the law of the country. So they can go to the highest courts. They will spend more money trying to fight us than what they will get from the estate, probably.
Yeah, and I think it's easy, obviously, to look at it from a legal point of view. A will is a will, and it's clearly stipulated. For me, my worry is their conduct is quite concerning. What happens if, yes, they go to court, they challenge this, and they fail, which they probably will? They're still part of the family, and I would be very uncomfortable with their behavior and their level of entitlement. So, there's a family dynamic here that I think needs to be addressed far beyond just the legalities around how you claim from someone's estate and whether what they say in the will is what stands. Tapiwa, you're calling us from Fourways. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Morning, Clement. It's very obvious, Clement, that this lady left a will that clearly stated that she wants nothing, left to her siblings. There's a reason for that. We don't have that nuance. And I agree with you. There's a reason and family dynamic here why that, that estate did not extend to the siblings. And this lady left behind 2 kids and a mother. Those kids will need to be, looked after. So that's the purpose of that, estate. So this kind of entitlement is completely toxic, and it's numbing and mind-boggling that somebody would want to be that entitled. It's beyond words.
It's beyond words. It's actually quite scary. Tapiwa in Fourways, thank you for your call.
Hi, Clement. Interesting case, voice note. I definitely support and agree with the last point. These two are definitely selfish and entitled. The deceased lady, has 2 kids. So those 2 kids still need to grow, get educated and whatever. These 2, the mom must just buy 1 car, 1 motorbike each. They must go fend for themselves. That's a nice leg up. But not anticipate like a leaving stipend or something. No. They must go for Guza, they must go work. Thanks, Clement.
Good morning, Clement. I feel so disgusted by the behavior of these siblings. They've entitled themselves to the extent that they think that sister owes them something, even in her death. They don't even think about the children that are left behind. I think this is a lesson also to us, generous givers. When you give, make it clear that it is not my responsibility to do something for you. I'm just doing it because I can. But if I can't, please do not entitle yourself. Do not entitle yourself to people's things. I feel so, Thanks, Clement. Tembi.
Hi, Clement. So on Anonymous's case, she is right to be disgusted, and I think those adult siblings are just wasting their time in terms of our law of deceased estates and succession. They have no claim against the sibling. The sibling was donating to them all along. She has children who depend on her estate. In fact, being generous enough to give something to her mother is probably just to recognize that her mother will now need to look after her children. The people who have a claim on that estate are really her children, her surviving children. And those siblings have no claim whatsoever. They must go, they must find jobs, and that's it. Yes, she was generous whilst alive to give them donations from time to time, and that's why she excluded them from the will, because they have no need to be looked after by a fellow sibling. They can maybe chase the mother for the mother's share, but even that is just not necessarily sustainable. As a child, you can give to your parents, but parents don't inherit from their children. Children inherit from their parents, and siblings don't inherit from siblings either. Only if she didn't have children, maybe they might have a claim, but they really don't. And it's just an embarrassing result of laziness where they think they must get something from her. They have nothing to get from her. They don't deserve anything.
So how do you deal with it then within the family setup? How do you deal with that? Because as I say, for me, it's so there's the legal point here where we can argue whether they would even have a strong case, which many of us agree they wouldn't. But these are people that are still part of the family. How do we deal with that? Can you imagine if this woman who's died was a man and he was married and he used to take care of his siblings and he's now deceased and he's left his kids and wife and he has left money and his property and belongings, estate to the wife and his children. Can you imagine how these siblings would have treated the wife? Have you seen cases like that where also a man dies who used to take care of his own siblings and even mom? He dies, leaves everything to the wife and his own children, as it should be. And the siblings of the man would start treating the wife in a hectic way. It happens. And I think had this been a man who has done that, these people would have found other ways to make the life of the woman very, 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 very difficult. They would have made her life very difficult because there's a level of entitlement sometimes that exists within family setups where siblings think, yeah, my sister or my brother has got a lot of money and has got a family. We must also benefit, even when they're still alive. They get angry as you, as Makoti, as the wife to their brother, or as the husband to their sister, because you seem to be benefiting a lot from the riches of their sibling, no matter how old they are. It's crazy out there. More of your calls and WhatsApps after this. It's 13 before 12.
Over the years, you've heard me ask wealth manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
10 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Now what I don't understand is that these siblings of the sister, how do they expect their sister's children to be supported if they want a cut in their money? They're not going to be able to go and get work and support their deceased sister's children. So the money that is left with their mother is for their mother to take care of the children, get them to school, make sure they have uniform, make sure they go to university even after matric, make sure that they are set up for life, you know. But if the siblings now want the cut, they're lazy, sitting at home, don't want to go and look for work, are they going to be able to support their sister's children once the money is finished?
Hey, morning, Clement. Hey, this generation of ours has raised a laziness culture, whereby grown people are now claiming money of people. Like, dude, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That means that sister drew up a will on purpose, knowing very well what might happen. So those siblings don't have a leg to stand on, I think. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I don't think they have a leg to stand on, They're just lazy. Aye. Cooks from Devland.
Yo, Abaye court. Let them go to court. It's a pity there's a mother. Mothers are sometimes soft. She is going to share something with these entitled siblings. By a court, let them go to court. The court must decide this. Simple. It was going to be better if this thing was left with the kids and they were putting their foot down and saying, "Ningazositshwela Gabi Antoli Luto Pumani niyosebenza noma niyaphi." Ayikho into enjalo. Never. I would love to see this in court. Baba.
Hi, Clement Bongs here. With that lady, the siblings might actually have some sort of claim because if the sister was taking care of them and they can prove that, I think, I'm not sure, but I think the law does make provision for that in some way or form. So it'll just have to, they'll have to prove that she was taking care of them.
Patron Clement, those siblings must go find jobs. They must go work. No, actually, they must even kick them out. These ones sound like those kids that will kill their mom for the money. No, they must just go look for jobs. And they were not included in the will. And there was a reason. Hey, Bo.
Good day, Clement. It's MVP. I tell you what, there are so many people who are waiting for us to die so that they can take over what we own. It's a pity that most of us black people don't do wills, and you end up having your kids and your wife fighting with your siblings over what you left for your family. I think there should be a topic where black people are actually taught about wills.
On the WhatsApp line, Vivian says, Clement, these siblings are so entitled. They obviously have no regard for the family dynamics. They should fend for themselves like the rest of us. This is disgusting, to say the least. Another one says, I do understand that some adults are supported by a sibling because of our socioeconomic situations in South Africa. However, this support can make them entitled and not encourage them to go out and work. Another one says, on the issue of entitled siblings, I pity this mother who, instead of mourning her daughter, now has to deal with selfish siblings. Batsadi batswere buima, strength to Anonymous. And then another one says, the sisters are very ungrateful. The sister carried them with her all life, and now she passes on. They still want her to carry them, even if she's no more. They are sick. Please, they must stand up and work. They are not disabled. They are too cruel. But I'm happy for the sister who drafted this will while she was still alive. Can you imagine if there was no will? That would have complicated things. That would have broken this family. But again, does this not have the potential to break this family?
Hi, Clement. I think that, let them go to court. How do they have money to go to court and fight for something that doesn't belong to them? It'll probably cost them more to go fight for that, and they'll probably get very little out of it. And there's a saying that you don't mess with the dead. So if they think that trying to get or extort money in that way will take them anyway, I think they will suffer even more. That's just my take.
Hi, Clement. When my aunt, Mam Holo, passed on, she was the firstborn in my mother's family. And she had lots of small businesses. She was married, had small businesses like sewing businesses, bakery businesses, and catering businesses. And when she passed, she had one adopted daughter. She did not have children of her own and a husband. But you won't believe that when she passed, her sisters, my other aunts, they were fighting to get for entitlement to her equipment. And There was no will, I understand, but they were fighting and forgetting that she had an adopted daughter, she had a husband. They fought and they each got a piece of every equipment of her. Imagine.
Hi, Clement. Interesting show. Yeah, it's disgusting, honestly. This entitlement. Your people are so entitled. I actually lost my brother in 2021, and my siblings, were the ones that were assisting me the whole time, with the will and all those things, the estate and so on, up until everything was, completed. So they never, ever expected anything from me, So they assisted me from beginning till end. So there were no issues. So I don't know why people are so entitled, eh? Thank you, Sabel and Midrand.